Hey folks, for this screencast, we're going to learn how to take an Excel spreadsheet and import that data into Python and plot it. I had a friend of mine send me some stock market data from the last 122 years. And so we've got the year, the month, the return, and the amount. And so the amount column, basically what this means is if you started with $100 in 1899, or I guess if you started with $100 at the beginning of 1900 and you had a 2.1% increase that month, you would end up with $102.10 at the end of that month. And then the next month, you'd get a 1.11% increase, which would bring you up to $103.23. So, like, if I did this number minus this number, that's $1.13. And then if I did this number divided by that number and then times 100, right? That's 1.11%. And so you can kind of see the numbers go up and down as the percentage goes up and down. So we're going to plot this data just for kicks. Now, I believe there are ways to import data directly from Excel. I'm going to just do it sort of the old-fashioned way because I just feel like it solves all sins, I guess, if you will, and or it solves all problems. And so that's what I'm going to do. This is an Excel spreadsheet, so it's a XLSX. So XLS is the archaic, I think, like pre-2005 spreadsheet format for Microsoft Excel, sorry. And then the X, I think, is like post-2010, and so it's sort of the newer format. Now, I'm on a Linux computer, and so I'm using LibreOffice. You can see that in upper left-hand corner here, LibreOffice. And so I can open all Microsoft products. The compatibility isn't perfect, but it's enough to just see simple numbers like this. Now, instead of just importing directly from Excel using Python, I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little bit easier on myself. And I'm going to save this as what's called a CSV, which is a comma delimited file. And so I'm going to type in .csv here and hit save. And then it's going to tell me to, encode it using the Unicode UTF-8 format, which is pretty standard. I wouldn't change that. Field delimiter means that every column is going to be separated by a comma. And then the strings are going to be separated by quotation marks. I'm going to hit OK here, and then I'm going to close this. And then I'm going to go over here to Python. Now, if I wanted to, or I'm in Tony, sorry. If I wanted to, and I think I want to just for the sake of this. What the heck is going on here? Something is not working. Escape. Okay. File. Open. There we go. Okay, we just had a little hiccup. I'm going to type in stocks.csv, and this should open the stocks. And so you see I've got the first row of headers, and then I've got the year, the month, and the return, and then the amount that I have from there. Now, just to kind of show you the old-fashioned way, I'm going to type in import numpy as in p. I'm going to do the new school, well, kind of the new school way. I would say this is in the last like 10, 20 years or whatever. So I'm going to do np.loadText, and I'm going to say stocks.csv, right? I'm going to hit F5 here. I'm going to call this plot Excel, or I'll say CSV data.py. Now what's going to happen is this is going to say, hey, I can't import year, month, return. And so if we go back to that file, right? So if we click all files here and go to stocks.csv and let that open. If I delete the first row, now we have to remember, let me do a control X there, and remember the header is this. That way we don't forget. And then run it again. Now it's going to say, okay, I'm trying to import the first line, but the problem is that there's commas. And so you need to tell the computer, hey, this is a delimiter equals a comma, and then run that. And now it's going to say, hey, I can't convert this data because there's a percent sign. Now, I could do a control H. Oh, geez. Control H. What? Is it control F? Yeah, sorry. Control H, control F. I could do a control F and find all of the percent signs and replace all with a space, right? And save that. And then I could just import using plot or load text. But come on. There we go. But just for kicks, I'm going to import this the old-fashioned way and show you how to do this if you have this issue. So I'm going to put in here, let's go ahead and close this so my computer doesn't lose its mind. And I'm going to say, assume you cannot use load text. What do you do, right? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to say file equals open, and you're going to open that stocks file, okay? And then you're going to say for line in file, okay? And just for now, I'm going to print line. So I'm going to hit F5 here, and you're going to notice it's printing every single line below here. Cool? I don't understand what these are here. Did I mess something up with this stocks file? Now I'm a little concerned. Because this over here at the end doesn't make any sense. 2022 at the very end. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Oh, okay. So what happened is this is going to be kind of difficult. So the amount data. I have never. Okay, so I will say that I kind of prepared for this video, and then that I didn't try to plot this last column. So what's happening is that this last column here, there are commas inside the data structure, or so like the amount file, so in 1933, if you had $886, you broke into 1,000, and so there's a comma there. And so now what we're running into, this is going to be really nasty. So what we're running into is that if I try to separate this entire row by commas, it's going to try and grab these. So I'm curious. So if I type in row equals line.split, and I say split with the commas and then print the rows, what is it going to do now? Oh dear. Yeah, so this is really interesting. So basically what happens is that when you get to the ones with, I think we can figure this out. When you get to the ones where there's commas in it, it splits the entire structure, and we need to like combine that back together. So I think we can still figure this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the year, and I'm going to say that's np.float of row of 0. And then I'm going to say the month is np.float row of 1. So that's the second column. And then the interest is np.float of row of 2, but I need to replace the parentheses with nothing. So basically I'm gonna strip the parentheses out of there. And then the amount is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna say the amount is row of 3, but if amount, how do I want to do this? Here, let's do this for I'm gonna say print year, month, interest, amount, right? I'm gonna hit F5 here, and there it goes, grabbing everything, which is awesome. Now the problem is that, as you notice, is that some of these have quotations in them. If there is a quotation, it means there's more data. So what I want to do is I want to type in amount, and I want to say, does like amount equal a quotation? No, that's false. How do I search for, is it like np.where amount equals a quotation? Okay, I'm gonna pause and come back. Okay, folks, I figured it out. So basically the amount has a quotation and then the number 8, right? And I know that the quotation is always going to be the first character. If you go back to the stocks file, right, it's always that first character. Now, if I type in amount equals a quotation, I get false. If I type in np.where equals a quotation, I get false. And then I looked online and I found that you can use this thing called the find function. And so if you do amount.find quotation, you get a 0. And I did it again just to make sure. And then I went and said, okay, well, does it work for the number 8, right? Because amount, the values in amount are quotation and the number 8. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it finds the 8, but it doesn't find the quotation. And I verified that there is a quotation in there. Now, there is a function called ord, and ord will take and in this case, I'm doing amount of 0. It's taking the first character of amount, right? And it's checking to see, it's taking the first character of amount, which is a quotation, and then converting it to its ASCII equivalent. So I went over to Google and I looked up an ASCII table, and if you look at the decimal equivalent of 34, that's a quotation. So what I'm thinking we do is we take the first character, if ord amount of 0 is equal to 34, it means we found a quotation. And so what we need to do is we actually need to we need to loop through the rest of row. And so we say for x in range 3 comma len of row. I think that'll do it. And then we need to take, so first what we need to do is we need to strip amount of quotation. So let's see if this works. So if I take amount and I do amount dot replace the quotation and a space, what do I get? Okay, cool. So that gets rid of the thing. So first we're going to say amount equals amount dot replace the quotation with nothing. And then we're going to loop through, I think we're going to start at 4. And we're going to loop through here and say amount dot append. No, I can just say amount equals amount plus row of x, but replace the quotations with a space. It looks like that worked. So let's just check here, right? So 1975, month 4, we've got 57,931. So let's go to the stock file. Oops. And let's go to 1975, month 4. So this is going to be kind of hard, but we'll see. 1975. Someone in the comments say that was a good year. All right, and then here we go. So we've got, 1975, month 4, 6.71% return, 57,931.98. Okay, so we got it. So it worked. So that little hacky code totally worked. So let's get rid of the print statement now, and let's go to the next phase of our plotting, and let's make a time vec, let's make a interest vec, and let's make a amount vec. And what we're going to do is, so this if statement only runs if it finds a quotation. If it doesn't, then amount is just amount. You know what I forgot to do? I need to do amount equals np.float. I need to convert the whole thing to a float. Amount equals float amount. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to append everything. So I'm going to say timevec.append. And I'm going to do year plus month over 12. And then I'm going to say interest vec.append interest. And then I'm going to say amount vec.append amount. Yeah. And then I'm going to convert to numpy arrays. Convert to numpy arrays. And I'm going to say, every time I hit enter, okay. Timevec is np.array of timevec. And then interests vec is np.array interest vec, and then amount vec equals np.array of amount vec. I don't know if you need to do this, but I just like to do it for common practice. By the way, so np.loadText would have been one line of code. Everything that I just did literally just gives me like 3 vectors. Like load text, if you can use load text, like it's awesome, because then you don't need to worry about it. But honestly, like this last column was so messed up. I don't think, even if I would have replaced the percent signs, it wouldn't have mattered. Anywho's, hopefully you learned something with importing wonky datas. So let's hit F5 here and see if that runs. Okay, no errors, everything's good. If I type in timevec, I get some stuffs. If I type in amount vec, I get some stuffs. So let's plot some data. Okay, so let's plot. So first things first is you need to import matplotlib.py plot as plt. Okay, and then we're gonna do plt.plot, and we're gonna do timevec comma interest vec, and then we're gonna throw a plt.show here. Let's just make sure that runs. There we go. So there's the Great Depression right there. If you were alive during that time period, that sucks. I hope you made it through. Is anybody still alive during that time period? Yeah. Well, oldest person's like 100, right? And it's 2023. So you were like 10 when this happened if you're still alive, or you were like 2. Probably something more recent is, looks like there's like some volatile stuff right here. There's the housing market crash. Oof, minus 20%. Bruh. That's rough. And then Yeah, there was another crash. That's right. I forgot about this. I don't remember what. Yeah, 2021. Oh yeah, they're after COVID. Yeah. All good. Anyway, I'm gonna keep my politics to myself. Moving on. Let's make a plt.x label, and let's say time in year plus month over 12. That's an interesting unit that I just invented. I'm sure somebody else has done it. And we're going to say return in percent. Let's do something cool. Let's do time positive is time vec where interest vec is greater than 0, right? And then interest positive is interest vec where interest vec is greater than 0. And then let's copy this and say less than 0 and less than 0. And let's throw a time negative, neg. And then let's plt.plot time positive and interest positive with blue stars. And then plt.plot time negative and interest negative in red stars. And let's give that a go. What do I get? Okay, sweet. That looks pretty awesome. So you can kind of see when the stock market was positive and when it was negative. Cool. Oh yeah, let's plot the amount. Let's see if you started with $100 in 1900. So let's throw a plt.figure, plt.plot, time vec, comma, amount vec. And let's just see if that works. Oh, baby. That looks awesome. So, you've made stupid money. If we zoom in, like, down here where it's not so insane, like, we should be able to see, like, there's, like, the Great Depression. Oh, boy. Man, that stinks. Like people say, dude, the market recovers. The market's blown up, dude. This is nuts. What'd be cool is if we did the same thing, and we did... Let's see, we already have time positive and time negative. Let's do amount positive is amount vec where interest vec is greater than 0. And then copy the same thing and then do amount negative and amount vec where it's less than 0. And then plt.plot time positive and amount positive, and again blue stars. And then plt.plot time negative amount negative with red stars. And then let's do throw a grid down and then an x label time. This is my weird unit. And then plt.y label is what? Amount. I guess I'll call it principal in dollars, and give that a go. And so we should see. Oh, very cool, dude. That's wild. So you've got a lot of the money has just been nuts. But this is interesting, right? So again, I need to keep my politics to myself, right? But like somehow after 1980, everything just blew up. Like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I guess I made a lot of billionaires. I'm gonna stop there before I get in trouble. It looks like the grid over here on my return is not working. Why is that? Because it doesn't exist. That's why. plt.grid. Okay, there we go. Bingo, bango, bongo. Do you want this code? I'm gonna save it. Post in the comments. If you really want this code, I will send it to you, or I'll post it on GitHub. But a lot of this code that I've already created, like people have seen before, like it's just like the file open stuff, 4-line and file. But if you really want this, feel free to post in the comments and ask for it. But there you go. So to recap, what have we learned today? We have learned that if you're lucky, your data... Actually, what we really learned is that if you have an Excel spreadsheet, you can convert it to a CSV. Weird things happen when you convert to a CSV. If you're lucky, you can use load text. If you're not lucky, you can always go the grassroots method and just do a lot of string manipulation. You've also learned how to split files by commas. You've learned about the ASCII table, which is kind of neat. You've learned about concatenating strings using just plus, like you can actually just concatenate strings together. You've learned how to append vectors and convert them to arrays, and you've done some interesting plotting. This is How many lines of code is this? 56? And that's 56 lines of code, and I don't know how long the video is, but if you're still here, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great one. And if you're in the stock market, good luck. See you in the next video.